tell Dr. Castro that I want to ask him that he has spoken often of his desire to normalize relations with the United States. What is he prepared, it's a very important question, to concede to bring about this normalization of relations? Understand? And I'll close it again. Okay, we'll start again. Dr. Castro,
not very difficult, because we have not cause that avoid impede that prevent us of living in peace with other nations. I speak the truth, and I speak very sincerely when I said in peace means.
Wait, I have to reframe something. Keep rolling. Okay. If the United States, what? If the United States were willing to end the trade embargo and to reestablish diplomatic relations with Cuba in exchange for an end to what we call the exporting of revolution to other nations in the hemisphere, would you agree to some kind of inspection on your island to guarantee and prove that you were not exporting revolution?
Comercial y establecer relaciones diplomáticas con nosotros a cambio de que nosotros detuviéramos lo que ellos llaman exportar la revolución y permitir una inspección para verificar esto.
You ask the United States, we are not demanding economical help, we are not demanding commercial relation, we demand peace. And peace can be established over the base of respect to the sovereignty of our country. Peace can be established over the base of absolute respect of the international principle, absolute respect of the sovereignty of all the nations. You understand? We can live in peace with all the nations in this hemisphere.
Okay, this is Dr. Castro. Roll 5, take 1.
Stay off me. You on Castro? Off me?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Castro.
People that said you that. But for example, if we live in a police state, why we do not forbidden to the people to come to Cuba, to the bishop to come to Cuba? During the United States forbidding the United States citizens to come to Cuba. We don't forbid the Cuban to go to the United States. We don't forbid to the United States citizens to come to Cuba. So I can say you have a police state. You have many police organizations, policeman organizations, FBI, CIA, secret police, all kind of policemen in all the state, federal policemen, state policemen in Cuba. We have million laborers, peasants, all they have weapons and the right of belong to the militia, to the army. The students are armed. So everybody have weapon in Cuba. That in any police state you can give the weapon to the people, because then the people will never accept the police state, will never accept oppression. So if everybody has a weapon in Cuba, it means that everybody agree with the revolution. Not everybody, most of the people is with the revolution. That people defend the revolution in every situation. United States always is speaking about overthrown revolution with uprising. They don't need to send weapons to Cuba. We have 100,000 weapons. Everybody have weapons, but we have the people. The people is with the revolution. The people is army in Cuba. In Cuba we can say the people is the state. The people is the state in Cuba. And when the people is the state, you cannot speak about a policeman state. And we have not restriction to go out not restriction to coming here to United States. You cannot, you in United States, where you like to speak about freedom, individual freedom, and you don't permit to United States citizens to come to Cuba. Only few people like you that report and make all kind of questions. You make all kind of investigation, inquisitive question. So you are permitted to come to Cuba. But really, sincerely, I cannot be the judge. I cannot be the judge about what we are doing. I have not a special interest in refusing that. What I can say that everybody can come to Cuba and to see what happened in Cuba. And they can make the judge. You have some mind, we have some mind.
Wait
It's
a second.
possible.
I want to pick up a frame of question. Okay, keep rolling.
It's possible.
Wait, I want to frame something. Dr. Castro, we have spoken, well, wait a minute, on a one.
Yes.
Dr. Castro, we have spoken to people who said that they live in a constant state of terror, that they believe they are watched and followed, and that they fear.
Nobody have fraud. If they are making conspiration against the revolution, if they are agree with the foreign policy, United States policy. Do you see, for example, you can see how I work. I visit every place. I have not 100 men with me. I have only few group of men helping me between the people. Everybody can come to speak with me in every place. I have never been afraid. And I would have reason, because in the United States many counter-revolutions have been trained to attend against my life. I am not afraid. I feel sure between the people. I don't know what if somebody have in their mind the idea they are danger. It is a subjective problem.
Do you ever
You
fear
believe
for
in
your
United
life?
States?
But
You
I want to
believe in
frame something
United-
about assassination attempt, because that was an issue the other week. We often read of reports of attempts on your life. Do you fear for your life?
For example, in Soviet Union, never anybody knew that I have been killed because anybody wished that I be killed. In the United States, there are many counter-revolutions, and many people, there are several people that would like to reach the news that they have been killed. They confuse their wish, their illusion, which they are with the reality. But until now, I have lived 5 years between the people, and nobody never have making fire against me. I feel sure. I don't worry, and this is my job. For example, you see what paradoxical situation in United States. The president felt sure, absolutely sure. I am sure the United States government take much more measures for their personal security than I take. And they knew that the president of the United States had been killed. It was a surprise, a complete surprise. To anybody here in Cuba was a good news, because sincerely we can be political enemy, but we don't wish the death of anybody. In some way, we felt when you have some oppositor and your oppositor disappear, you don't feel satisfied. In some sense, I felt that when oppositor that disappear in a way that we cannot be agree with that way. The situation. Well, I think that many people will be killed. All the men are called to die soon or later. Anybody is Somebody does not know that? We know quite well that. Well, while we live, we work, we fulfill our job. And we are satisfied, we are happy, and we are not worried about that.
If anything were to happen to you, what would you think? I want to ask him if anything would happen to him, what would come next?
My opinion.
Wait, let me pose this. If anything were to happen to you, what do you think would be the fate of the Cuban Revolution?
At the beginning, my death could be a very hard strike to the revolution, but not now. We have 5 years. We have an organization. We have several men that have wonderful condition to lead the country. I feel absolutely sure nothing will happen. Absolutely sure. I can give to the revolution my experience. Every one of us learned during the years. I have some experience. I helped the revolution with my experience. But you can be sure, as I am sure, that nothing would happen. Of course, we don't want to make the proof, but we are not worried. Sincerely, we are not worried about that. A revolution is not the job of a man. A revolution is the matter and the job of a people. And the people join in difficult situations and take a chief in difficult situations. Not a revolution never have disappeared because the chief disappeared. I don't want to make comparison. I am the leader of a small country, a revolution, but suppose a great revolution, Soviet revolution, leading in a very difficult situation, in much more difficult situation than our situation. They died, and revolution continued. Revolution is not the job of a man, it's the job of the people.
Who would take over?
This is not a monarchy, and nobody is designing. At the beginning, when I understood it was a danger for the revolution, and that I be killed, I spoke about Raúl, but it is a problem that ought to be solved by the collective direction of the revolution. We have many men. And as you see, we have a president. I am prime minister. My job is a political job, and I give this strength to the idea, impulse. I give impulse to many things, but we have the president, the minister council, we have a political party, we have the direction of the political party. In that situation, the national direction of our party would design prime minister to make the job that but here in Cuba, all the principal problems, political problems, are discussed in our direction, in the direction. All the important problems. I never take a personal decision. Always I like to know the opinion of the other, and when we are agree, we take decision.
Dr. Castro, is there any possibility that this revolution could go in another direction, that is, back to a democracy, to free elections, to many of the proclamations that you issued in the Sierra Maestra?
It is not easy that one United States, ¿cómo se llama? Un ciudadano corriente, un ciudadano normal, a common citizen of the United States and the Cuban Revolution can understand about those problems. You have your idea about democracy. We have our ideas of democracy. For democracy, there are many examples. For example, I can speak about unemployed. I can speak about Negroes in the United States. To know one of them, the Negroes who live in the South of the United States, and to know them, you can speak about the democracy. To many poor people in the United States, unfortunate people in the United States, you can speak about the democracy. For them, democracy is a formal. You have two parties, both controlled by oligarchy in the United States. You call that democracy. In Athens, in the ancient Athens, Greek, in ancient Greeks, they called democracy, and there were dozens of thousands of slaves, and they were speaking about democracy. You in the United States have many interests in all the world. Your company make to work very hard. Millions of men in Latin America and all the world, they have not rights. They have not standard of living. They have not illustration, education, and they have not hospital assistance. So you speak about your democracy, and that is why you never. It is not easy. Someday you will understand our idea of democracy.
Oh, I'm sorry, are we on?
Yes.
Everybody ready?
Ready.
Okay, Dr. Castro, Rule 5, take 2.
Dr. Castro, all the people that we talked with who oppose you said they opposed you because they thought that you were going to make a democratic revolution, and instead you made a communist revolution.
When they say democratic, they speak about capitalistic revolution, free enterprise revolution, monopoly influence here. They are thinking in their class interests. They are not thinking in the peasant, in the labor, in the Negroes, in the student, in the intellectual. They are thinking in their material interest. That is what they call democracy. Batista said he was democracy. General, all those rich men, owner of lands, they were speaking about democracy. That is what they understand for democracy. Lincoln said, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Revolution too is the government who take power with the people and make rules for the people. Nobody can deny that here our government is an honest government. We have disappeared all kind of vices in our society, all kind of fraud, malversation. And here every rule is made to help the people. And we have made many things for the people. 1 million Cubans didn't know to learn and to write, to read and to write. They now know. Everybody have assured their education in Cuba. Everybody have their job sure in Cuba. The possibility of a student. Everybody, white, Negroes, everybody in Cuba. People feel this. So you have to analyze deeply the problem of Cuba to understand our problem. We have not formalized several things. We need to give a form to institutionalize several things. We have not time to do so many things during those 5 years.
I want to put something about the education, because you mentioned that. Let me go into this. We visited many of the schools, and we found an extraordinary uniformity. The children seemed to answer by rote. There seemed to be a good deal of Marxist indoctrination. There seemed to be very little independent thinking. Does that disturb you?
Well, In your schools in the United States, what do you teach to your students? You teach your point of view, you speak them about enterprise, you free enterprise, you speak them about your business, your industry, your interest in all the world. Do you speak about that to your young? The class who rules in the United States, try to teach what they want to their students. Here in Cuba, the revolution teach and prepare the young people for the revolution too. But an example, my personal example, I studied in one religious school since the first years until until I went to the university. What did they teach to me? I didn't decide which school. My father chose the schools, and they enseñaron, taught me all what they wanted. I had no opportunity to choose. And in Cuba there were 100 religious schools where the sons of the rich class were educated. Now we educate our young men in revolutions, ideas too, in our ideas. Well, but we say to the people, we teach the people, we don't want ignorant people. We want people who learn to think, who learn to think. We don't say to the young boys, believe. We don't say believe. We say study. We say then think. If we were afraid that the people study and the people think, we never would develop the education until the degree that we have developed, because we are teaching to everybody, we are educating to everybody, and if you know to read and to write, you are in better condition to think and to analyze. You can lie to those ignorant people. ¿Cómo se dice engañar? You cannot cheat educated people. And we, the revolutionaries, have real obsession to educate the people. So it proves we are not afraid that the people think and the people analyze. We are sure about our future. We are sure about our job, about our risk. You were revolutionary too at the beginning. When you make your independent world, you had to fight. What the England thought about you? You were liberal at the beginning. The England were monarchy, and the England were not agree. And the England went to Canadian, to other places. And you in United States began to teach to the people your constitution, the right, the Declaration of Right of the United States. You taught to your people that. So in England they said, they are liberal. To call somebody liberal in 1776 was the same to call now socialist, Marxist, communist now. Is the same. Those who went out to hear about communism is a devil. But when you made your revolution, when you were called liberal, was the same as devil.
Are you comparing your revolution with our revolution?
Once upon a time, you lived that experience. In the future, the world will give the reason to us. I am sure, and will not give the reason to you now, because you were liberal at the beginning, but now you cannot call yourself liberal. What happened in Vietnam? What happened in Latin America? You help dictators, you help a military group. You have been in good relation with oligarchy until Cuban Revolution. If you now begin to worry about social reform was a consequence of Cuban Revolution. Can you deny that?
Could that not be a social consciousness on our own part and not the cause of the Cuban Revolution?
No podía ser que han tomado unas conciencias sociales y no la causa de la revolución cubana.
Well, but it coincides very much with Cuban Revolution. I suspect, I have my doubt about that.
Go ahead.
Okay, two things, Khrushchev and de Gaulle. You spent a great deal of time with Prima Khrushchev recently and on your first trip to Russia. What do you think of Mr. Khrushchev as a man, as a leader?
I have a wonderful opinion about Khrushchev. I have spoken about that here in Cuba. I admired Khrushchev. He's a very human man, very sincere, how you call it, modest man in his relation with everybody, with the people, with the other leaders. He's very, very much intelligent man, very much. He's a very clear man, and he's a responsible man. He's a peace man too. Really, he's a man worthy for peace, and I understand him very well. And more I know him, better impression I have about him. A wonderful impression, really, sincerely.
You are now buying buses from England. You are talking about buying ships from Spain. I understand you have an economic mission in Switzerland. Does this mean a radical change in your trade policy, Dr. Castro?
No, never. Where is the change? We never denied to make business with United States, with any nation. Was United States policy to cut our commercial relation with United States and all those nations that you mentioned. Was not our policy. Our policy has been, since the beginning, to business with all the nations. And that is what we are doing. That is what we are doing now. We succeed. We still not succeed here. And I think it's a big mistake the United States try to cut that relation, because the United States cannot forget that nations have their problems. They are money problems. They need business. They need to sell to solve their problems. All the nations have economical problems, and it's a wise policy, that economical blockade. That is why that is not a realistic. You spoke about realism. That is not in any way a realistic policy. You, the American, like to say that you are practical people, that you are realistic people, but I have seen many things in which you don't prove to be very much realistic. And you call us that we are illusionistic people, that we are dreaming, and we are proving where we are more realistic. Our policy is more realistic than your policy.
How do you regard President de Gaulle's policy of recognizing Red China?
I think it was a very wise policy.